So excited for today.
Oh, me too. Thank you guys for having me.
And you guys, let me give you a little story real quick. So I hit Diamond in May, and then I got an email from Maribeth, and I thought, I am just going to take a chance and message her on Facebook and just thank her. And she responded. So here we are today.
Oh, I love it. I loved your message. Thank you.
So excited. I'm so excited for all of it. I'm so excited for you to pour into us and for us to just hear from you and learn from you. Everybody is so excited. So if you're ready, let's start, because I have a lot that I want to ask. So I hope you're ready.
I'm ready.
Good. So my first question would be, like, tell us a little bit about your story and how you kind of found out about It Works and what It Works has done for your life so far.
Okay, I'd be happy to. Thanks again, you guys, for having me. It's so fun just to get to see your faces, and I'm really excited just about what's going on right now in the company. I see Jenny on here. Hi, Jenny. Just looking through. So good to see you guys. So, you guys, I grew up in Michigan, and I live in Nashville, Tennessee now. We've lived all over the place because we've been in ministry and we've been lots of different places. But I grew up in Michigan in this little tiny town where there was just nothing going on. I mean, I remember like noticing from the time I was really young that, like, hey, if I don't want to work at the one factory in town, or become a school teacher, like there's only a handful of things that you could do and be in this town. I'm like, I'm going to have to go somewhere else. Like I just grew up knowing that. And my parents were incredible. We lived on a 100-acre farm right next to my grandparents, and just cornfields all around, basically. But I also remember my parents just really struggling financially. I remember money being tight and just wearing hand-me-down clothes and just all of those things. And then there was a period in time where my parents changed that for us, and they radically changed our lives. And kind of just to give you a short version of the story, in our little town, it was so small that like everybody knew everybody for the most part. I remember when we got the McDonald's in town, it was like a big deal. And there was never any kind of like traffic or like really busyness going on, with the one exception of high school basketball games on Friday nights. It was like a big, huge deal. Okay. Like that was what you did. That was what all the farmers like would drive into town for, to come and experience this. And I remember when I was like in elementary school, we had gotten a new teacher in town, and he was coaching the basketball team as well. And all of a sudden, you guys, this team of kids from this small town that had been losing for years at basketball and kept trying, they're trying to build up this program and it didn't seem to be working. All of a sudden they started to win, and they won, a couple games, and then they won like districts, and then they went on to regionals, and they won state. And it was just like amazing, incredible to watch. And my parents didn't miss a game. I remember like playing under the bleachers the entire time. And you guys, people would come because they wanted to watch this team win, and watch these kids play, and because it was something to do on a Friday night. But they would also come to watch the coach. And the guy was dynamic, and he was incredible, and he was able to take a program from a losing team all the way to being a winning team that won all the way through the state championship, right? In a very short amount of time. And at the same time that was happening, you guys, he had also started in the network marketing business. And so he had started selling products. And I remember like pretty soon, like all the other teachers were his customers, and then the school board was his customers. And then like everyone that worked at all the stores in town was his customers. And it blew up. And my parents had tried several other things to make extra money over the years. And I remember my mom being like, no, not one more thing, please, not one more thing. And my dad finally was able to convince her, let's just try this one more thing. They had watched several people have success by this point in our little town. And so they got involved and they ran with it. They saw great success in that business. It went on to be what paid for all of my college education. I went to a private school and studied music and ministry, and I walked away with zero debt. My little brother, same thing. You guys, it was a game-changing opportunity for my family. I watched my dad be transformed from like somebody who was like nervous to get up in front of people, somebody who would come home at the end of the long day of working and be exhausted, to somebody who was like confident and excited and running after dreams with other people. And you guys, what's crazy about my story and why I tell you this entire story is because that teacher and that coach that I explained to you about was Mark Pentecost. And so Mark is the founder and the CEO of It Works. And I watched him as a kid go from living in a little farmhouse down the street from me to the massive success that they've created now, owning an island and a ranch and, you know, all of their financial success, but also you guys starting It Works. So they started It Works in 2001 with the desire to change as many lives as they possibly could. And so that's what's exciting to me, you guys. And so, Emily, to answer your question, like how I got involved, you know, I knew they had started the company. I watched them start it, but I was so happy in my career and what I was doing. I never thought network marketing was going to be for me. But we had reached the point where we had been in full-time ministry. First I was, and then later my husband for a lot of years. And I was probably 10 years in the ministry, I would guess, when I started in the business. But the last like 7 or so years in ministry, we didn't receive a single raise. And during that time, I actually cut back my hours because we had started having kids. We have 4 little boys. We had 3 of them at the time. And so I cut back my hours, and we were doing okay. But I had that realization, I'm never going to be able to get my nails done. We're never going on vacation as a family. I'm not going to be able to save for these kids' college. It's just going to be very, very tight for the rest of our lives if I don't do something. I've got to do something different. And so I reached out to Cammie, her and I had gone to school together as well, obviously. And I reached out to her and said, hey, I think I might want to do the business. You know, and by this point, you guys, she was already making massive amounts of money, highly successful. She didn't reach out to me. I reached out to her, you know, which is so funny to me now. But I reached out and I was like, I kind of want to do this, and just ended up running with the business. So that was almost 9 years ago now. So before I was with corporate, I was in the field for about 5.5 years, and just drastically changed our lives in every way. Financially, within 4 months, our business income had surpassed our combined family income. Insert income disclosure statement right here. But just so mind-blowing, you guys. And I had like a confidence that it could work because I had watched my dad do it, right? But I had never done it for myself. I was scared to death. I was in ministry, so I was scared. I didn't want like there to be any conflicts or anyone to think I was taking advantage of them. Like I had a lot of insecurities, really. And as did my husband. He didn't have any experience with network marketing. So he thought I was a little tiny bit crazy. But it changed so much. And honestly, it was an opportunity for me to grow into the next step of who I needed to be as a leader, as a person, as a pastor, as a mom, as a wife. It was just such a growth opportunity, which makes me so, so grateful for it. So I've loved it. I've loved being a part of the company. I've loved watching people's lives change over the course of now almost 9 years. So 3.5 years ago, they asked me to join the corporate team. And so I've been doing that as a part of the field team, first as a regional, and now as a director of field development. So I get to work with people all over the world, making sure you guys have great tools in your hands to build a business and help you to grow in leadership and all kinds of stuff. So there it is.
That's so amazing. That's one of my favorite parts of your story, is that you knew them before. Like you've been there for like since the beginning. Since like you've seen him go from coach to all of this from then to now. That's truly one of my favorite parts of your story. And it's so inspiring to just hear you talk about them and how they've become such a better version of who they already were. And I love that. It's so awesome that you knew them before It Works even existed. That's one of my favorite parts. But so, you know, the pandemic is going on, and, you know, lives are crazy and hectic right now. And even though it's not like it was back then, like how did you find the time to work your business with life happening? You had 4 boys, 3 of them when you started, you had another one when you were already in. Like, how did you just find the time with life and mothering and being a wife and doing all of the things? How did you just find the time?
You know what, you guys, I think there's never enough time, right? It feels like there's never enough time to a degree. And I have really struggled with the idea of just busyness. I've struggled with that. That's a personal thing that I have to work through on a daily basis. And I feel like I'm growing in it, but I think some of us are just made to just run, and we want to do it. I think others of us probably struggle on the other side of, we don't want to fill every single, second of our lives. And so it's going to be different for everybody. But I will tell you guys, when I started the business, I certainly didn't start because I had extra time. I had an infant, I had a 2-year-old, I had a 4-year-old. They were so busy at the time. Every day I remember us just saying, we just have to keep them alive for one more day. Like, it's like, just keep them safe in this area for one more day and we'll be doing great. So it was a busy time for that. I had cut back my hours at church, but essentially I was pretty much still working a full-time, gig. And what that meant for me was lots of rehearsals during the week and weekend stuff. And so there just wasn't that extra time. But what happened, you guys, is when I got excited about it, and I started going after it, and I started seeing some people say yes, and I started seeing what it looked like to get a wrap on someone and watch their face change, watch them leave, an in-home party so much happier than when they got there because they saw some results, or try the greens and realize all the benefits it could have for them. I found time that I didn't know that I had. And when I look back on it now, I think, where I took that time from? Some of it was like, I just couldn't watch TV. I couldn't do some of the things that I might do to like chill at the end of the day. Instead, I would fill some of that time with doing some messaging or making some phone calls. My husband really stepped up at the time because he started to realize, oh, this is actually going to be something that makes money. And so I remember him being like, just book whatever you have to book and we'll figure it out with the kids. We'll get creative. And sometimes that meant trading childcare with a friend. Sometimes that meant I had to sell a wrap or two to have money to pay a babysitter. Sometimes that meant, and still to this day, kids are dragged all over the place with us. Chris is at youth group tonight with our 2 older ones, and the little 2 are in the car. Like, it's just, we've learned to incorporate it into our lives. And I also think, you guys, that it's so key. And I'll share this with you. I have just in the last week surveyed about 10 are our very, very top producers, top leaders with the company, and ask them what their schedules look like. And it's so interesting. There was a handful of things, you guys, that all of them had in common. One of them is all of them had some sort of morning routine. So some of them were like, I get up at 6 o'clock sharp, and then at 6:30 I do. And like, they were very regimented with time. Others were kind of looser with when they might get up or exactly what, the timetable looked like, but they still had some kind of morning routine. Most of them, I would also add, get up before the rest of their house. They get up before their kids, before things get busy and wild and crazy. And I'm just going to tell you guys, I understand what a big sacrifice that can be, especially if you're a mom that's got little ones and your sleep isn't all that great. But it sets the tone for your day in a different way when you're able to do that. They all had personal development as a part of their schedule. And I think it's hard to think about making time for that when you're building a business like this, but I still think it's so key. You should be spending about 1/3 of your work time on personal development, about 1/3 of your work time recruiting new people, and then that last 1/3 of your work time taking care of the customers and distributors that you already have. The majority of them also are practicing some kind of Sabbath. 1 day a week, they're not working. They're working their buns off 6 days a week, and then 1 day a week, they're stepping back and they're resting and they're not working. That's something, you guys, I would say it's a newer thing in the culture of It Works with the leadership, because there's been a lot of years where people were just working 24 hours a day, every day. And I think people have realized you can't sustain that for the rest of your life, and you don't want to. You want this to serve, your goals for your family, and instead of the opposite, right? A lot of them had scheduled time for chores, like even like cooking and like getting their homeschool stuff together for kids or whatever. Like they scheduled out time for that. Most of them had exercise on their list of things that they do. So anyway, I just wanted to share that stuff with you guys, because I think it's interesting to know like what other people do, how they're finding time. If I could give you guys one tip, it would be when you're scheduling your time, schedule time for work and be really serious about it. And then schedule time for family and loved ones and be really serious about that too. Try your best not to constantly be doing both at the same time, because it's a slippery slope. And I know I've had way too many dinners where my kids are like, Mom, no phones at the table, or whatever. And it's like, it's not fun. So try to bring your best and bring your most focused self. Even if you've got a 20-minute window to work your business, give it your full 20 minutes. Don't let yourself get scrolling on cat videos or whatever. Like just focus, do what you need to do during that time, and give it your absolute best.
I love that. I live my life on 10-minute timers. You'd be amazed at how much you can get done in 10 minutes. I've got 3 kids at home, so I totally get you have to set your time and set your routines. I totally 100% get that.
I like it. It's good.
I have to fly by the seat of my pants most days.
Right.
And so like, how do you keep such a positive mindset? Like momentum is really high right now. Teams are killing it. Like people are enrolling 30, 50, 60 customers a month. How do you just keep that positive mindset even through the hard times and maybe the slower months or just a rough spot? Like, how do you just stay positive?
That's such a good question. I mean, you guys, one of the things I kind of wish someone had told me earlier in being involved in business is just that like business can be hard, that there will be ups and there will be downs. There will be moments where you're killing it and you cannot believe, commissions dropped today. There's times when you're like, I cannot believe I just made that amount of money in my check. Then there's other times when you might see your check and be like, what happened? And it's life and it's business, and there are ups and there are downs. And I think, you guys, because I'm such a doer and I feel like, oh, I'm just going to go conquer it. It's fine. I'll just take care of it. I'll go do it. I really had to learn, for me, like dependence on God, the fact that like, there's some days I need to just say, and actually today was a day like this for me where I was just overwhelmed by stuff. And I had to just be like, okay, God, I can't do this on my own today. I need to lean on your strength, and I think sometimes we try so hard to do it all ourselves. And especially, and I see a lot of women on here, probably a lot of moms on here. And it's like, we feel the weight of everybody's stuff. If my husband's in a bad mood, I feel like responsible to try to fix it. And some of that's like the blue in me. I'm like, everyone's going to have fun all the time. But it's just, we feel that weightedness, you guys, and we feel it in our business, and we bring somebody new in and we want to make sure that they're okay and that they're thriving and they're growing and they're doing what they need to do. And that, stuff's not difficult for them. And all the things that we try to do for everybody else. And I think, you guys, if we're not careful, we can allow those things to drag us down. And then when we have a personal bad day on top of all that, it can get really heavy. And I think one thing I'm learning too right now, you guys, I'm reading Brene Brown's book that's called Dare to Lead. And she talks a lot about self-compassion in there and figuring out a way to help yourself to be your healthiest physically, spiritually, and emotionally. Like, what are those things for you? And make a list. Like, obviously you don't have time to do it right this second, but later, make a list. What are the things you need to do? Do you need to go for a walk every day? Do you need to exercise every day? How are you going to make sure you're getting good fuel in your body so that physically you're doing well? Make a list of the things you need to do for that. How about spiritually? How are you fed spiritually? How are you keeping on track spiritually? How about emotionally? What are things you need to distance yourself from? Who are people you need to put some boundaries up with? Figure out what those things are so that you can be functioning at your highest level. And that way, when the tough stuff comes or when difficult things happen, your bad days are going to be more few and far between, because you will just learn how to deflect stuff. And as a leader, you've got to be thinking in solutions all the time. You have to be expecting and anticipating that stuff's not always going to go right, so that you can, help to steer the situation to something better. And then just as far as like keeping the whole out, think personal development is just going to be absolutely key. One of my favorite leadership podcasts is the Craig Groeschel Leadership Podcast. Just super good as far as all kinds of basic leadership topics. And you can go through, he's got a log of, tons of them now because he's been doing it for a couple of years. But just got a log of great different topics that you can look at. Sometimes you just need to read a book that's just going to kick you in the tail. A few years ago, I read You Are a Badass. That was a great book as far as just like, if you need somebody to just be like, go do it, that kind of thing. But just pick up and read what you need to read in some of those moments, and just some of that stuff that that you just need somebody to tell you, like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be okay. Keep going, keep moving forward. And I also think you guys, put some great quotes, some of your favorite quotes on a sticky note on your fridge or in your car, on your mirror, stuff that's going to encourage you and keep you going. And then just don't beat yourself up too much. It's not worth your time. Even right now, you guys, it's the 8th of the month. If you're thinking, I wanted to go, Emerald this month, and now it looks like I haven't done anything for 8 days, or I couldn't do as much as I wanted to do, or whatever it is, you've got to just start from here. That's all you can do. All you can do is start from here and move forward. So I just encourage you guys to give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace. Keep yourself fed with good stuff. Don't let yourself, you guys, some days when I wake up and the first thing I look at is social media, and I get stuck on social media all throughout my day, and I end up reading a lot of negative stuff, I feel it. I feel that negativity. Other days when I get up early and I'm like, I'm going to read a book first. I'm going to read my Bible first. I'm going to, spend some quiet time first. It sets a different tone for the day. I'm telling you. So just be careful what you're allowing. Really, really protect yourself and your mind from what's coming in, because you're going to need that as you grow in leadership. You're going to need more and more skills and just grit, to be able to handle stuff.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And I read that book, You Are a Badass. That's probably my go-to book. Like you said, when I need something to kick me in the butt and get me out of my funk, or just get the negativity out of my mind, that's always the book that I go to. And I'm not going to lie, I had to cut some people off because of the negativity. When I lost rank, it's because I had so much negativity fueling my brain and making me think that my actions and my excuses and everything I was putting before my business was okay. So that's such an amazing tip. Oh my God, that gave me like the chills. So, you were talking about new people, and there are so many new people that are on here tonight, and they're all starting. The bonuses just came back. And what would you say to like those new people who are just like, oh my gosh, this is so much information. Like, what do I do? Or the people that have been in and are like, you know what? I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to be a leader. I'm ready to get a team. What would you say to those people that are just starting, coming back? Like, how would you tell them where to start?
You guys, for as long as I can remember, people will say to me, what do you do every day to build your business? Like, what are the things you do? Or Maribeth, what are the top producers doing every day? What are they doing? What kind of actions are they doing? And so just you guys, because I know sometimes we get caught in our heads and we're like, I don't know if I'm doing the right things. And then we get paralyzed and we don't do anything, right? Or we get stuck doing one same thing and we don't do everything that we need to do, like as a whole, to build the business. And so we just released, you guys, daily task list, is what it's called. I'll put it in the chat. Daily task list. It's on your eSuite. It's also in our field team coaching pages as well. But it's 10 things to do every single day for your business. Okay, it's simple stuff. It's like posting about a product in your story. It's making a product live in your story. It's telling your story of the business. It's putting up your host to post. It's just all the basic things that are going to help you to build in the season that we're in right now. Because it's different. It's not like book vendor events and plan a home party. Like everything's pretty much online right now. So it's great way to keep you accountable for yourselves if you're new or if you're not new. And then there's a second document that we released as well that's called Upline KPI Tracker. And that's also in the eSuite and in the coaching pages. But that is, so let's say you're a brand new person and you're going to do those 10 tasks every day, and there's a spot for you to check off each of the 10. And then at the end of the day, you write your total. So you got 9 on Monday, you got 4 on Tuesday, and it just shows, what your numbers are. You'll schedule a time to meet with your upline. So if you're an upline, you would schedule a time with your team each week to go over their tracker. Okay. And you have a document as well where you can write out, all right, who is this person? What's their goal? What's their color personality? Like, how do I know how to work with them? And then how are they doing on their tasks? And the cool thing is, you guys, you can look at this task list that someone's done and you can see, okay, they're getting 8 every day, which is amazing, but they're really struggling to enroll distributors. Let me see what's missing. And you go on there and you're like, oh, they're not telling their story. Oh, they're not adding to their network. What is missing so that they can sign the customers and the distributors that they want to bring into their business? And so I think that, you guys, honestly, right now, I'm like on a kick with that thing because it's so simple. It's tried and true. It's proven. Amber Parker's been testing it with her team for months, and they're seeing crazy good results. And it's just nice because it takes some of the guesswork out of it. Also, we did a Diamond and Above Zoom today, and Brittany Cromwell shared some crazy awesome stuff. Emily, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but
I was on my list of notes that I took.
Oh my gosh, it was a lot. It was so good. But I love the stuff that she shared as well. Just help, breaking down the numbers. Like, if on average, like 1 out of 10 people that you talk to become a customer, and everybody's different, right? But on average, say 1 out of 10 people become a customer, and you want 10 customers this month, then you need to write down 100 names, right? 100 names of people that you're going to talk to, and really tracking and thinking about not just the results that you want to get, because sometimes that's frustrating. If you're like, I want 10 customers, and you get to the end of the month and you're like, I didn't get my 10 customers. But when you can see, okay, I want 10 customers, on average, I'm going to need to reach out to 100 people. Here's the 100 people I'm going to reach out to. And you're checking your way through that list. I just think it takes out some of the guesswork there. You guys, just kind of knowing who you need to talk to, how many people you need to talk to get the results that you're trying to get. So I think if you're brand new, you guys, try not to be too overwhelmed. I know it can seem like a lot, but just put one foot in front of the other. Ask lots of questions, send screenshots to your upline and say, what do you think about this? Can I send this? How's this sound? Plug in. There's so many systems already in place. We have a Wednesday night new distributor training that happens every single week. If you're newer, make sure you get on one of those. And then we also have power hours all throughout the week that will help to sell samples and build your network and all of those kinds of things. Even if you just plugged into everything the field team offers for a week, you would get a pretty well-rounded idea of just the simple things to build your business.
Yes, I loved the Zoom today when Brittany was like, she masters one thing and gets good at it before she moves on to the next thing, and helps her team master the same thing that she did before she is like, here, go do this, this, and this. I loved that. That's something I'm going to do with my team. That's something I want to teach them how to do with their team. That tip right there was so amazing. And the knowing your ratio thing, that's such an amazing tip. And there's one more question I wanted to ask you that I forgot to send you, so I hope that's okay. But
sure.
If you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice when you first started, what would it be?
Oh, this seems like it'd be a hard question, but lately I totally know the answer to this. So I read this book early this year called Atomic Habits. And you guys, I'm blue personality. So I've got a lot of red too. I'm very driven, but I really just want to have fun. That's the truth. I want to have fun all the time. And so I have to work very hard for discipline and creating good habits and some of those things. It's not because it's easy for me. It's because if I don't do them, then I won't get stuff done. Right. And so I read this book. It was so good for me. And one of the things he said in there was, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. And I was like, dude, why didn't somebody tell me this 9 years ago? Because you guys, I am a major dreamer. I've always been this way. I can set a massive, I'll be like, I want to make $1 million next month. No problem. I don't mind saying it. I'll, whatever, write it down. I don't have a problem setting big goals or dreaming big. What I need to do is when you take that goal, you've got to backfill that thing with what your habits are going to be and how you're going to get there. So when you're even visualizing the things on your dream board and like what it would be like to do the things that you're dreaming about, you've also got to visualize the work that it's going to take to get you there. Right? So if you're like, okay, I want to go, ambassador in 2 months. Okay. How many people do you need to sign to get there? How many hours do you need to set aside to work every single day? And just really like figuring out what those habits are going to be. And that might mean getting up 2 hours earlier before the rest of your house, plugging into power hours every morning, adding more people to your network every single day, doing more live videos, even though they scare you. It's some of those things that maybe you don't want to do. Probably the thing you're dreading most when I just rattled through that list right now is the thing you need to do the most, right? I did a workout with my husband today and the guy was like, all right, for your last activity, I want you to pick anything that we've already done. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm picking the sit-ups because it was like the thing where you're like sitting down. Like you're totally picking that. And he's like, no, I want you guys to pick the thing that was the hardest for you. The thing that you had to work the hardest to do. And I was like, oh, dude, I can't stand you. And I had to do these one-handed squat jacks was what I had to do. And it was like insanity. And I was so annoyed, but you guys, that's the thing with your business. Whatever it is that you're most scared to do, whatever you're struggling the most with, maybe that's talking to people about the business and the distributor side or whatever it is, it's probably the thing you're going to have to lean into. You're going to have to create habits and accountability for yourself around those things in order to get where you want to be. So that's the thing. If I could have known anything back then, it would have just been just that, like put the systems in place, like I'm willing to run and work and do all the things I need to do to get there. But if you can put those systems and those safeguards in place for yourself, you're just that closer to ensuring that you're going to hit those goals.
Oh my God, that's so good. I'm going to have to get that book.
That's a great one. Definitely.
I love that. That's so good. Cause like, I'm like you, I'm red, but I also love to have a good time. So I'm like the happy in between that. But what you just said, I'm like, that's so me. Oh my gosh, that's so me. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Maribeth. This was so life-changing. I'm looking at the comments and everyone's like, this Zoom is fire. This is so life-changing. I needed this. So thank you so much. I'm so honored and so blessed that you came on here and just spoke life into all of us and took the time out of your day. And we truly, truly appreciated it. And I don't know about the rest of them, but you lit a fire under me. So I'm going to get my butt to work and do the things I need to do. And you are just truly an amazing soul.
Oh, thank you. You are so sweet. It was so good to be with you guys. One last little quote that I will leave you guys with that is something my husband's been saying a lot lately. And it's this: you probably don't have a knowledge problem. You have a consistency problem. And I want to say that because I know you said like for newer people, right? And for any of us, it's that paralysis that we get. It's not that you don't know how to work your business. It's not that you don't know how to get to the next level. It's just the fact that you've got to be more consistent, right? You got to work more often. Just have that consistency, just keep showing up. That's all it takes. It's that Mark Batterson calls it long obedience in the same direction, right? You just stay consistent, you keep working, you keep staying focused on the things you want to do, and you will get there.
Oh, thank you so much. That was so good. So stay consistent, you guys. We can all do it. We're all meant for this. We're all capable of this. Just keep going. I'm going to keep going. If you want, drop what you're going to go for this month. Drop what you're claiming this month. Do it. Do all the things, and we can get it done. Maribeth, thank you so, so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for having me, Emily. Good to see all.
Yes, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.